such power. What are you, Raiden?
I am of truth and light. I protect Earthrealm.
This one cares not for Earthrealm, and worships no gods.
Hi everyone, this is Andrew from the Moofcast checking in with my favorite games so far in 2015. To start things out, I'm going to talk a little bit about Mortal Kombat X. I've been playing it on the PlayStation 4 and having a pretty good time with it. As you can see from the video here, it looks really good. It's as crazy and over the top as ever, and it's got a host of new characters coming along for the ride this time. Like last time, there's a dumb but fun story mode that introduces you to all these new characters.
Round 1, fight.
This game has a couple of guest characters like the last one. This time it's Jason from the Friday the 13th series, as well as Predator of the Predator movies. At the time that I made this video, Predator wasn't out yet, but I have to say Jason seems to fit right in with the roster. He's pretty brutal, he's got cool moves, and I really like things like this here where he's about to get a resurrection based on the meter that you've built up. So perfect. And just like that, he can turn a loss into a win.
How you doing, Butterface?
That'd better be a compliment.
Best I can do.
Round 1, fight.
Another thing I really enjoy about this game is the humor. As you can see from that little exchange, the game definitely has its sense intact. And most of the fighters have something kind of similar to say before each fight. If it's not funny, it's at least amusing and fitting to the characters, and I really, really like that about it. Now, before we move on to our next game, I'll just add that the challenge towers can have pretty hilarious results this time around. As you can see here, this fight's been sped way up, along with the audio, which kind of results in it sounding like a couple of hamsters going at it. If you're on the fence about this one, definitely give it a try. Personally, I've found it to be a pretty good value. Earlier this year, we got a remastered version of a remake of Resident Evil. That's a mouthful. Typical Capcom, though. All kidding aside, this is a really great version of this game. I've had a great time replaying it again, and it's never looked better. This generation has seen quite an influx of horror games, it feels like, so far. And really, this is the one that I think is still the scariest. Maybe aside from that PT demo, but this one really puts you on edge at times, and it's just so effective with the way that it manages to feel so atmospheric. Controls can still feel a little stiff at times, but otherwise, for a game that's over 10 years old now, it's really not showing its age. I think it looks great, it can hold its own against other games this generation, and the work they did to modernize the visuals has really produced fantastic results. Whether or not you've played other Resident Evil games doesn't really matter. What's important is if you've played this one, because this one's the best. It's beautiful, it's at a great affordable price, and it features what many people consider to be the best horror game setting of all time. This one is as close to a sure thing as game recommendations can get. Another one of my favorites from this year has been the release of Dark Souls 2: Scholar of the First Sin, which is a combination package of the original Dark Souls 2, along with all of its DLC.
I'm glad to see you safe.
In addition, this version features some slight but noticeable improvements in the graphics, as well as a locked frame rate right around 60 frames per second, which you may or may not notice depending on how you're watching this video. But when you see it live in person, in motion, it really looks great, and that bump in frame rate really makes a huge difference. You may have heard about a bug based around the frame rate that resulted in having weapons and gear degrade at twice the normal rate. Well, fear not, because a recent patch has addressed that issue. Although honestly, I played through about half the game with that bug intact, and it really didn't result in too much more of a difficult time for me than normal. Last year, I put hours upon hours of time into Dark Souls 2, and I'm pleased to say that it's happened all over again with this version. As you can see, I'm fighting this boss with a co-op partner, which I still believe is one of the best parts about this series. I wasn't able to capture footage of it, but this one does let you play with more co-op partners than ever before, which is really cool. Going up against these bosses with a party of 4 really does give it a different sort of feel that I just didn't experience last time. I'll close this one by saying if you haven't played this but you've played Bloodborne and you enjoyed that, this is the better game in my opinion. I really think you should check it out. I think this is the best the Souls series has to offer. Bloodborne or Souls, any way you slice it, I think this is the one that's on top. Now I'd like to take a second to talk about another one of my favorite games from this year, Zombie Army Trilogy. It's not a very impressive name for a game, honestly. It kind of sounds like something you'd find on the phone markets, but it is a really good time, and it's a great game. The setting is World War II, and basically Hitler got so desperate that he raised an army of the dead, and it got way out of control way fast. And that's all you really need to know about the story. 8 heroes basically find themselves as the world's last best hope against the zombie army, and 4 men and 4 women go forward, pop a lot of headshots, and kick a lot of ass. If you've never heard of these games before, here's a brief summary of the series' history. Basically, the Zombie Army games were expansions to the Sniper Elite series, and now for the first time this is its own standalone package. It features 2 episodes that have previously been released as expansions for that Sniper Elite series, as well as a 3rd chapter that's all brand new and never before seen. Each chapter has 5 levels, giving you 15 total missions to play through in the campaign. If you're trying to time that out, I'd say each mission took me and my friends a little over an hour to complete. There's also a dedicated Horde mode which has its own maps that are exclusive to that mode. So either way here, if you're a fan of co-op, this game has got a lot to offer. One thing I really do appreciate about it though is if you want to play by yourself or you just can't get online to play with friends, you can play all of it solo as well. And if you're going to take advantage of that and play by yourself, you can adjust the enemy difficulty and enemy numbers accordingly. This is something that I've found to be often overlooked in games like this, so you'll find yourself going up against way more enemies than you can actually handle because it doesn't accommodate for the fact that you're playing alone. But this game does, and I think that that's so great and so smart. This whole game is like one big, long, giant trek through a massive haunted house. Each chapter gets more nasty and unsettling than the one that came before. Yet the game still manages to find a good balance between fun and scary. I never got so creeped out that I had difficulty continuing, but I would be lying if I said that I was never intimidated at any point in the game. It definitely got under my skin multiple times for sure. It's a pretty straightforward game really, but it has a lot of clever design behind it. Check it out, it's an awesome time.
I'm no pushover, sweetie.
It is an honor.
Get ready, fight!
The last game I'll talk about now is Dead or Alive 5 Last Round. I've been playing the PlayStation 4 version, and I have to say I'm really happy with it. I know this game has come out like 3 times now between Dead or Alive 5, Dead or Alive 5 Plus, and then Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate, and now this one. I guess that actually makes 4, which seems really ridiculous, but this version addresses the complaints that I had about the previous ones on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It's got noticeable graphic improvements. They've come up with something that they call skin tech, which actually does seem to make a difference, and the characters just look awesome in my opinion. It really jumps off the screen. It's such a colorful, fun game. It's just the kind of game that I like to sit down and play and not take real seriously and enjoy the visuals and the sounds. It has a great soundtrack this time. You can also pick music from previous Dead or Alive games and assign them to characters or stages. which is really great because I didn't care for the Dead or Alive 5 vanilla soundtrack. But overall, I don't really think of this as a Dead or Alive 5 release. I think of it more as the ultimate Dead or Alive release. It just seems like this is the best Dead or Alive has ever been, and I've really been having so much fun with it that I don't care that it's the 4th version of Dead or Alive 5 to come out. Now, just like the older games, this one's as scandalous as ever with the costumes, which, honestly, I appreciate. I mean, I knew what I was getting into when I bought this. I'm not embarrassed about it. I think it's fun. It's ridiculous and over the top in its own way. It always has been. And I like the series for that reason. In my opinion, that's the kind of thing that sets it apart from Tekken or Virtua Fighter, 2 other game series that I really love and appreciate. But you gotta set yourself apart somehow, and Dead or Alive definitely does that, and I don't fault it for that. This fight on the beach perfectly illustrates why I find the game so visually appealing. I mean, look at it. The colors are just popping off the screen. It's beautiful. It's the perfect palette refresher after you've been playing games with a lot of muted colors like browns or grays. And personally, I think everybody should have a game like that in their collection. If it's been a while since you've played Dead or Alive, or maybe you've never played Dead or Alive, really look into this one. A lot of places have it on sale lately since it's been out for a few months, and it already started at $40 instead of the usual $60. It's truly a one-of-a-kind series. Thanks for watching, everybody. That's all for now.